Well, it's Wednesday, and you all know what that means. Today, of course, in WWE Evolve, as you know recently, there's a bit of a war within Evolve competing between, of course, the guys from the Performance Center and the guys from WWE ID Prospect. As you know, of course, the war rages on about the PC guys are saying, oh, the WWE guys are trying to steal our spot. But however, a match determined that they are going to take control of Evolve for one day. But the real question is, what exactly are they planning? Well, we're just going to find out. And of course, on AEW Dynamite, it features, of course, many matches. Don't forget, we are now on the road to Grand Slam Australia. But the real question is, who's going to be heading straight up to challenge MJF for the AEW World title? We even have the AEW Women's title on the line. Tekla makes an attempt for it against Chris Statlander. And of course, FTR defends their belts against Davis and Doyle from the Don Callis family, and plenty other things as well. And then, as always, we'll wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates, give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK. In the world of pro wrestling, it's not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or nice comments in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers. Let's start it. So, let's begin with WWE Evolve. Okay, now as you all know, the Performance Center guys have won the right to take control of course, of one day of Evolve. And of course, the winner of the match itself gets an opportunity for the Evolve Men's Championship against Jackson Drake. Now, it starts up with, of course, with the guys from ID to make their presence known, like, you know, talking about how much they've been grinding and all that, dealing with, of course, the PC guys. But however, one of the referees showed up and informed them that Aaron Rourke, Sam Holloway, Mike Cunningham, and Eli Knight are not booked, but they were told to go home. So that leaves Sean Legacy, Laney Luck, and of course Cappuccino Jones in the whole thing by themselves. This was something that, of course, the PC guys are trying to prove that they're not going to tolerate the ID guys taking their spots, and that was the whole point. Now, of course, they're not the only ones that are trying to fight against them. So, of course, the Vanity Project. Of course, Vanity Project do not tolerate what's going on. They're trying to prove that they're the ones in charge. As long as they have the WWE Evolve in their possession, it's not going to go nowhere. But they're still concerned over what the PC guys are planning to do. Now, we did see, of course, Cam Hendricks and Kiana Carver making their way, because the first match features Tate Wild and Shawn Legacy in a somewhat of a no holds barred match or whatever, street fight, and whoever wins it will get a shot of the Evolve Championship. But however, out of nowhere, Harlem Lewis made his presence known and joined the fight. He wants it. Remember, he stated, "I don't care if the guys from PC or ID destroy each other. He wants the title himself, because that's his primary goal. He's basically, I can say, the lone wolf in this matter. I think he may be somewhere between. I don't know if he's a PC guy, but however, that's the case. But the match went brutalized. They even tried to go different maneuvers. Even Shawn Legacy was almost close and going overboard with using the chair, but it did not. But it was Harlem Lewis that walked away with the win when he applied a backbreaker onto Legacy, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, our next match, we jump into Elayna Luck taking on PJ Vasa, of course. As you know, the PC guys are trying to make her life impossible because, of course, she's part of the WWE ID, and, of course, PJ Vasa is part of the PC. So, basically, that was the whole point, try to make her life a living hell, and that's exactly what it is. But, however, of course, PJ Vasa was able to pick up the win when she applied the issue, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she picked up the win. Now, Trudy Martinez was asked to read a statement saying that the WWE ID prospect is officially closed, saying that, sorry, we're done. They're not coming. It's all about them. There's no way they're going to shut them down. And Trudy Martinez doesn't like it, so he kind of like, I'm not doing this. Now, Cappuccino Jones was set to face against Brooks Jensen, but however, Cam Hendricks decided to put him in a handicap match. Well, not in the kind that we know. Basically, he had his right arm behind his back. And Cappuccino Jones, I have to say, was freaking amazing. He actually fought like a champ, and he went all the way with no arm. I mean, he did everything humanly possible to try to survive this, but unfortunately, it was just too much because, of course, Jensen applied a backbreaker, and just like that, it was 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, our next match, which was our main event, as you know, Jackson Drake was put in an impossible position to be in a 3-on-1 match against Kiana Carver, Jax Presley, and Harley Riggins. And this is not what Jackson Drake wants, but however, this was a design to ensure to soften him up until Cam Hendricks get his hands on the Evolve Championship next week. And that's exactly what they're attempting to do. Even Swipe Right were there by his side, but unfortunately they were taken out by both Hendricks and Cole, and just like that, it was taken out. But however, when they wipe out Jackson Drake completely, Hendricks, who's running the show, decided to make this into a 4-on-1 and integrate himself and pin, of course, Jackson Drake. And just like that, he's sending a message, well, I'm winning this belt. And that's exactly what he intends to do in next week. So we'll see what happens until then. But for right now, we are done with Evolve. Let's move on with AEW Dynamite. Okay, AEW Dynamite. As you probably know already, we are on the road to Grand Slam Australia. And not to mention, we're going to see who will be the one to take a crack at MJF for the AEW World title. So we got a bit to go until we get there. Our match opens up with Kenny Omega taking on Rocky Romero. Now, of course, as you know, Kenny has a problem with Don Callis. Don Callis is determined, of course, to stop Kenny in his tracks from ever becoming AEW World Champion again. As you know, he is basically wants to obliterate him one way or the other. But, of course, Kenny prevailed when he applied the one-winged angel, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. And then, of course, as you know, there was a post-match comments with Tony Schiavone talking about Grand Slam, and then, of course, he said he'll be watching the main event that features Andrade. And then, of course, Hangman shows up. of course, talking about their history and all this other stat. And then Swerve as well, comes out and confront him. But however, Don Callis decided to show up. As you know, he is determined, as I said, to stop Kenny in his tracks, because that's exactly what he wants to do. He wants to prove. Don Callis is now saying that they are now in full control of AEW. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, Jon Moxley goes in the ring to take on Ace Austin in a non-title match, for even though the AEW Continental title is not in grabs. And then, of course, Ace Austin fought through thick and skull into this, but however, he was not able to prevail until Moxley applied the Death Rider, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. However, during the post-match, Konosuke Takeshita showed up, and of course, starting to confront what's his name? Oh yeah, Moxley. And then, of course, it brings my mind: is he aiming for the Continental Championship, or is it because as you know, he defeated him during the Continental Classic? I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But however, Mark Davis and Jake Doyle attacked Jon Moxley, as you know, and as you probably remember, the Don Callis family has declared war against the Death Riders, most specifically Jon Moxley. Now the match, of course, our next match is the TNT title on the line. We have El Clone, who is challenging Mark Briscoe. I thought this match was good. The one thing was surprising that El Clone survived the J Driller, and that's something, of course, no one expected to do. But Mark Briscoe was able to prevail when he applied a roll-up onto him, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, during the post-match promo, Briscoe said that, he's not ducking or dodging. He's basically asking for anybody who has the cojones to step up in the ring. And of course, he's putting out a open challenge, whoever will be the next. Well, surprise, surprise, we did not anticipate that. And the person who actually responded to that, well, it was Tommaso Ciampa. I did not see this one coming. I'm sure many of you who saw it did not see this one coming. Now, the last thing we knew about Ciampa that he was planning, and he was trying to find a way to get into New Japan. I don't know if AEW was one of those promotions that can guarantee him to get him an opportunity to go. But who knows until the clear picture. So, the match between Tommaso Ciampa and Briscoe will happen on Collision, I think, or next week. I'm not sure. But yes, basically, Ciampa answered the call. Now, Renee Paquette, as you know, had a talk with, of course, Okada and Fletcher. Now, Fletcher, as you know, was upset with the fact that the screwdriver that he set up was, of course, was missing, and he blamed Okada for the whole thing. Now, Okada, on the other hand, said, look, I'm sorry. I know that he said that he did not try to screw him. He told him that he was hoping that Kyle Fletcher goes to the finals. He was hoping that he was going to be the one to win the title, and hopes that the belt stays in the Don Callis family. So basically, you can say they kiss and make up. They forgive and forget, that sort of thing. So that pretty much what took place. Now, of course, MJF, as you know, comes out to do a promo, but however, behind them is Brody King, who's been asking for a shot of the title. But MJF said, look, I'm not scared of you. You just don't have what it takes to become AEW World Champion. But of course, Brody said that he would rather have this match at Grand Slam. But however, he said, nope, it's not happening. But unfortunately, it's going to happen next week, which is the last thing, of course, MJF expected. So we'll see what happens. Now we have the AEW Women's World Championship on the line. Tekla makes her first attempt for this belt. As you know, this is something we all know she's probably going for. She has to face against Chris Statlander, but man, Tekla was obliterating her every step of the way. I mean, using everything in the handbook that she used, tried to soften her up in many ways in order to get an easy win. But however, that wasn't the case. Chris Statlander was able to survive by applying the Wizard of the Saturday Night Fever, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, she retained the title. However, during the post-match, we saw the arrival of Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne. Now, the obvious question is, what are they looking at? Are they looking at the AEW Women's World Tag Team belts or the AEW Women's World Championship? That is the thing we don't know. Smart money, I would say they probably want the tag belts that both Willow and Harley Cameron have in their possession. Now, Don Callis did a little video promo talking about their plans to obtain gold. Of course, they're hoping that the FTR will gain the AEW World Tag Team belts, and of course, he hoping that Andrade will make it all the way to grab the AEW World Title belt. Of course, right behind them, you see Takeshita and Fletcher behind them, and that's the whole thing. But however, Takeshita kind of, how do I say, he was not happy the fact that Kyle Fletcher kind of kiss and make up with Okada. So you can tell Fletcher's like, oh, fudge, I messed up. Yeah, not good. Now, the demand, as you know, they're continuing to prove their point whatsoever. Ricochet is determined not to lose the AEW National Champion. But Jack Perry did everything. He attacked him from behind, but apparently it was not enough until he was brutally beaten by Bishop Khan and Tail Leona. So the real question of what's going to happen next, well, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, our next match is for the AEW World Tag Team belts. Mark Davis and Jake Doyle taking on FTR. Now, of course, we've been seeing a lot of things. And people might have thought that Jake and Doyle had the opportunity. But however, unaware of what's happening, well, let's just say there's an old saying, an eye for an eye. Well, Jon Moxley got a bit of measure revenge against Davis, taking him out after they attacked him, using the Continental Championship in them, and then, of course, ended up in the Shatter Machine, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. I'm sure Don Callis is screaming out of his mind, saying, like, what the hell, this was not supposed to happen. Well, Don, you issued the attack. You should have known better that he's not going to stand by and watch it. Now, Renee Paquette did an interview with, of course, Orange Cassidy. Of course, Orange Cassidy still has some issues with the Death Riders. And then, of course, Wheeler Yuta showed up. And then Marina Shafir, then Tony Storm. So we might see another two to tango type of moment. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, we have our match against Swerve Strickland against Andrade El Idolo. I thought this match was crazy enough. I mean, Swerve, we know he's dangerous. We know he's capable of obliterating his opponents in any way possible to get what he wants. But Andrade, well, he took a shortcut by low-blowing Swerve, then applying the DM, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Then, of course, we jump into the back where MJF was watching the whole thing. Well, apparently, they were telling him how is he going to survive this one. Well, Kenny showed up and got in his face, so that Andrade and Hangman. And this is the last thing that MJF wanted. So he looks like he was going to run, like with his tail between his legs. So we don't know if he should be worried or whatever. Because I know right now he has to deal with Brody this coming Wednesday. But we'll see. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for all our reviews. I think we're done. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with upcoming events. Let's start with a huge one with the GCW updates here. As you know, on the 15th of February, they'll be in Phoenix, Arizona for Holy Smokes. They just announced Alex Hammerstone will be in action to take on Jordan Oliver. And then, of course, 2 new shows have been announced in the month of March in both Atlantic City. So it's going to be a 2-day show in Atlantic City. The first one is going to happen on March 14th, called Ashes to Ashes, and then the following day on the 15th of March, So Much Fun. So that pretty much is going to happen. They haven't announced who's going to be involved. Now, of course, we had the Las Vegas shows for the Gringo Locos, the World on Lucha, that happens on the 18th of April. They just announced Galeno del Mal will be there. We have Malafala, consistent of Latigo and Toxin, and then finally Aries, who is now El Glow, actually will be there. Some startup updates here that you probably will enjoy. Um, then, as you know, they'll be in Corkin Hall this coming Sunday in for a show. Suri was announced to be facing off against Lady C. As you know, on February 17th, they have the big show, the Supreme Fight in Osaka. Uh, they even announced that Aina Aiba will be the guest ring announcer for, of course, this event. If you guys don't know this, she is good friends with both Natsupoi and Sayuri Anu. And she will only be a guest ring announcer for, of course, the championship matches, which features the red belt, the white belt, the tag belt, and of course the unit versus unit, EXV versus Mi Vida Loca. So that's going to be her involved. As you know, we have the 2-day show by Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, the Global Wars Canada, where they will be collaborating with Ring of Honor on the 27th of March, and the Uprising on March 28th. They just announced El Reverso will be participating in both shows. Now, they haven't announced yet if there's only a wrestler that's going to participate in one, but we'll see where that goes from there. Now, as you know, Tokyo Pro Wrestling will be making an appearance in a 2-day show in Vancouver, Canada. This is going to happen in April, like a week before, of course, WrestleMania week. However, a great surprise has been announced. If you guys know this or not, there is a particular ring announcer who will be making her return for the Vancouver show. And that person is my favorite ring announcer from Tokyo Pro Wrestling, is Sayuri Namba. So she made the official announcement that she'll be participating. Now, this is something she has done before. Remember, she was ring announcer when Tokyo Pro Wrestling last year were in Las Vegas. Don't forget, she lives in Canada now. So it's great to hear from that. Now, as you know, we have the West Coast Pro, the Las Vegas show, West Coast versus the World, that will happen on the 16th of April. They just announced Senka Akatsuki will be participating, so it's great to hear that. Now, that's pretty much it for upcoming events. Let's talk about some developments. TNA has announced that Ash by Elegance has re-signed with them, so it's great to hear that. They haven't announced if she's going to wrestle or not, but I'm going to say maybe she'll take like a role of a manager, because we don't know exactly how much, if she can wrestle or not, but hopefully we'll see her more. Now, of course, as you all know, recently Elayna Black, also known as Cora Jade, has signed with TNA. She just went on to Busted Open Radio and talked about the whole thing. And this is what she said. I think obviously there was always been a little bit of, but right now, and I think maybe more so in beginnings, I was hesitant to come to TNA just because how close their relation was. I kind of felt like I need to distance myself, in which I think it was good. Me taking time off, I feel very more far removed and than I did and at the time. I mean, yeah, obviously I always in the back of, I think anybody's head would think of let's go, and it's like okay, look, I'm gonna do without you, but that's also really my focus right now. My focus is having fun and loving wrestling again. And hey, if with that comes them being like, damn, we messed up, we should have kept her. But then hey, so it'll be, but that's not what I'm going for to accomplish, I guess. So basically, she understands. A lot of people have talked about this because people said the same thing with Indy Hartwell about, oh, she's trying to get back to WWE. I mean, yeah, she said that there is chances that could happen, but that's not her main focus. Now, Harley Cameron even was on, of course, the TMZ Inside Ring, and she talked about a few things. One of them was about Orange Cassidy, how, of course, Orange Cassidy sets up a bit of a training sessions before the AEW shows, and she had this to say. Orange Cassidy is another person who I tell you, he goes out of his way to help me train and puts his time, and that he doesn't have to dedicate. He trains a lot of us. Actually, some of us will get together in the morning before the shows, and will run full training sessions for everyone. He's great. He's honestly just one of the best humans alive. Also, Nigel McGuinness, he trained with me as well too. And of course, she talks about someone we all know, of course, Saraya, formerly known as Paige. She talked about her. He says, "We're still very close. We stay in touch, and I see her all the time. So I'm really excited for whatever future holds. She's close-lipped about what she's coming next, but I think that it's obviously looked some time away and everything. And I know she's been doing some great things outside of wrestling world, has been really busy. So when I see her in the ring, I was like, oh, I'm excited to see whatever she's going to pop up. And I think she looks great. I think she's at the point in her life where whatever she does next, she's going all in, and and so I'm really excited to see what she's doing. So yeah, it's great to hear that Harley Cameron talks about what a great person Orange Cassidy is, dedicating his time to wrestlers to train before the show, and I think that's good to hear from that. And of course, her Carly talking about Soraya, and that she can't wait to see what she's going to do next. Now you may have heard rumors circulating the Zilla Fatu about NXT and all that. Um, this is what he said. It felt great. It felt so great. It was humbling experience for me and my team when it started. I didn't know where my career was going. It was it was just so mind blowing when you turn on TV and hear them chanting my name. I didn't know that until the day after, and when all my friends and family were sending me videos of the fans scream my name on NXT. I was definitely humbling experience. Not only that, it was also a special moment for me. So yeah, it's great to hear that people are still talking. So I think that's pretty much it what we have. So let's call it a day. All right. I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we'll be focusing mostly on TNA and Ring of Honor. So we'll see what happens. But until then, we'll go from there. So I must say adieu, goodbye, and have a nice day.